Jai Hind everyone. I am Vivek Kumar Pansari, Assistant Professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. So, in this particular video, I will be starting with Unit 2, and basically the main part of this video is the introduction about the topic refrigeration and air conditioning. So, what basically the refrigeration is and what basically the air conditioning is, and how we can produce cold by different methods, that will be the main area which will be covered in this particular video. So, first of all, we must discuss about the refrigeration means what. So, refrigeration is the process of production of cold by mechanical process. Why I have added this particular term ki mechanical processes? Because the production of cold, it means the lowering the temperature may occur by different ways also. By some surrounding change, by some weather change also the lower temperature can be occurred, but whenever it is production of cold because of some mechanical process or by some artificial means, then we call that refrigeration. The second point which is written over here, that is the refrigeration is the process of removing heat from an enclosed space or from a substance and rejecting it elsewhere for the primary purpose of lowering the temperature of the enclosed space or that substance and then maintaining the temperature below the general temperature of its surrounding. What is the meaning of this? How can we produce cold and how we can keep this body at a lower temperature? The only means is by removing the heat from it. So, either I am talking about this enclosed space. If I have to maintain the lower temperature of this space, then I have to extract heat from it. Same thing happens with the substance also. If I have to freeze this body, then I have to remove the heat from it. So, this is what written here. Refrigeration is the process of removing heat. It is usually done with the aid of mechanical device. It is usually done with the aid of mechanical device that we will be discussing when we will go in our next videos. Okay, by using a refrigerant. So, can this process occur automatically, the removal of heat, or do we need something? So, what do we need? We need some substance. We need some substance, and that substance is known as refrigerant. Okay, so that refrigerant helps in absorbing the heat from low temperature body. So, if I have to remove the heat from this body, then with the help of refrigerant, something can happen naturally also, but when I am using a particular type of substance which is aiding in the process of removal of heat, that substance which is known as refrigerant, so the lowering the temperature will become easier. So, it is usually done with the aid of mechanical device such as pump, compressor, or using a refrigerant which absorbs heat from low temperature body and release. And once the heat is absorbed, then obviously it has to be rejected somewhere. This is what the second law of thermodynamics, Clausius statement, ki from lower temperature body it is not possible to extract heat automatically. We have to do some work, and that work is done in the form of work which is done at pump and compressor. Okay, so that work is done, and from that low temperature body the heat is taken and it is rejected somewhere else. So, this is what the second law of thermodynamics basically, Clausius statement is this. Okay, when refrigerant absorbs the unwanted heat, this raises the refrigerant's temperature. Okay, when refrigerant which is circulated in the system, which is circulated in the refrigeration system, it absorbs heat, and by the absorption of heat what becomes? Its temperature is increasing, and once the temperature has increased up to the temperature of saturation temperature, it means where the phase transformation may occur, where the phase change may occur. Okay, so it means from liquid to vapor it may get converted. Okay, so when refrigerant absorbs the unwanted heat, this raises the refrigeration temperature, and when it reaches to saturation temperature, liquid becomes gas, it becomes vapor. So basically it evaporates. The system then use condensation. Then for again liquefying the vapor refrigerant, the condensation occurs, and this is what known as the transfer of latent heats in evaporation and in condensation. So basically this is what happening in the refrigeration process. It is also here that this cycle is based on the physical principle of that liquid extract heat from the surrounding area. As it expands, boils into gas. To accomplish this, a refrigerant is pumped through a closed refrigeration system, which stops the refrigerant from becoming contaminated and controls its flow. The refrigerant will be both a vapor and liquid. So as I already explained in my previous slide, that it is a continuous process. In evaporation, the liquid refrigerant is getting evaporated. In condensation, it is getting liquefied, and by doing this, the latent heat is pumped. Latent heat is pumped where? From low temperature body to high temperature body. From the body which has to be maintained at lower temperature to the surrounding where the heat is rejected. So this is what basically happening in the refrigeration. Refrigeration systems are also used extensively for providing thermal comfort. This is the another part of our refrigeration system, mainly known as air conditioning. When we talk about the refrigeration, in refrigeration we talk about only and only how much heat is extracted and what is the rate of heat extraction. We are not talking about the human comfort. But when I talk about air conditioning system, air conditioning, it means the enclosed space or the surrounding in which a human being is or a machine is. So is it that comfortable condition? So in that comfortable condition, not only the temperature, the lower temperature plays the role. Along with that, the moisture level of the surrounding, the cleanliness, the odor, the circulation of air, that also plays an important role when we talk about air conditioning system. So that definitely we will be discussing when I will introduce the topic of air conditioning system. But here in this, our main focus is on refrigeration and how to produce cold with different means. Before moving to some other discussions, first of all, it is necessary to define how do we measure the refrigeration. Okay, so it is measured in terms of tonnage of refrigeration, ton of refrigeration. What does it mean? Generally, when we go for buying an air conditioning system, we talk about how much is the capacity. So how much ton is the capacity of this air conditioning system? So is it the weight of that refrigerating unit or air conditioning unit? No. Basically, it is the transfer of heat from what? From what? So it is written here over here. 1 ton of refrigeration, 1 TR, is the production of cold at the rate at which heat is to be removed. So it is the production of cold at the rate at which heat is to be removed from 1 US ton of water, 0 degree centigrade, to freeze it in ice of 0 degree centigrade in 24 hours. So it is the amount of heat extracted from 1 US ton of water. Obviously, when heat will be extracted, so at what rate the heat is extracted? So in 24 hours, how much amount of heat is extracted from 0 degree centigrade water to freeze it into a 0 degree centigrade ice, and amount of water is how much? 1 US ton. So this is what the 1 ton of refrigeration. In other way, we can say the amount of cooling effect produced by what? When the melting of 0 degree centigrade ice, 1 ton of ice, takes place in 24 hours and converted into 0 degree centigrade water or in 32 degree Fahrenheit. So this is what basically both the way we can define, but the proper way of defining the 1 ton of refrigeration is this. This is the right way of defining. Here we are talking about the extraction of heat. Okay, here. So this is the correct definition. 1 TR is extraction of heat in 24 hours from 0 degree centigrade water to get converted into 0 degree centigrade of ice. When we convert this into kilojoule, then it comes out 210 kilojoule per minute, and when I talk about in kilowatt, it is coming out 3.5 kilowatt. So basically this is the unit of refrigeration. We will come across this term again and again in our discussion, so that's why it is necessary to understand how to measure the refrigerating effect. Okay, now another topic which I told, what are the different types of refrigeration system, or how can we produce lower temperature, what are the different means through which we can produce this effect, refrigeration effect. So there are certain natural cooling, artificial refrigeration. There are two ways, obviously naturally it can occur or artificially it can occur. In naturally I will be talking about nocturnal cooling, evaporative cooling, and cooling via salt solution. And in artificial refrigeration system, vapor compression, vapor absorption, solar energy, gas cycle, steam jet refrigeration system, thermoelectric refrigeration system, vortex tube refrigeration. So I will be only putting the brief introduction of each and every system. We are not going into detail because as per the scope of our syllabus, which is the first year syllabus, so only the introduction of these. Some of these systems will be discussed in detail when a proper video on that particular system will be there. But here I will be touching all these refrigeration system or cooling methods in very brief. Okay. So first of all, natural cooling. So obviously naturally it will occur. So in all olden days, refrigeration was achieved by natural means such as the use of ice or evaporative cooling. Okay, so use of ice or evaporative cooling, these were two methods. In earlier times, ice was either transported from colder regions, so where the snow is available or ice is available, from that place we can transport the ice and we can store, and that ice is harvested in winter and stored in ice houses for the purpose of using in summers. So this is what the natural, that ice was naturally available, that snow was naturally available, it is stored in proper manner and it can be used whenever it is required. So this is natural means, we are doing nothing, we are only insulating or storing it properly. Third is the made during the night by cooling of water by radiation to the stratosphere. That is what known as nocturnal cooling. So I am coming to that point. Art of ice making by nocturnal cooling, what basically it is. So the art of ice making by nocturnal cooling was perfected in India. In this method, ice was made by keeping a thin layer of water. What basically this method is, a earthen pot is taken, an earthen tray is taken, mitti ki tray, okay, in that a very thin layer of water which is exposed to stratosphere, which is exposed to surrounding, and obviously when a very thin layer of that water is exposed to surrounding, then in the night time the heat will be removed from that water, and when the heat will be removed from that water automatically, naturally, then obviously the upper layer of that water will get colder, and in the whole night that thin layer of water will be converted into ice by continuous cooling. So this is what the nocturnal cooling is. Okay, so this is what written over here. Okay, in this method ice was made by keeping a thin layer of water in a shallow earthen tray, okay, and then exposing the tray to the night sky. Compacted hay of about 0.3 mm thickness was used as insulation. A haze is provided there which is having a thickness of 0.3 mm. The water losses heat by radiation to the stratosphere, which is at around minus 55 degrees centigrade, and by early morning hours the water in the trays freezes to the ice, and this ice can be stored. So this is the natural way, nocturnal cooling. Okay, the another way is evaporative cooling, very well known to us. Evaporative cooling, how do we when we are sweating a lot, how do we feel colder when this sweat is getting dried? By the evaporation. Why the water in a earthen pot in matka, how the water is getting colder or maintaining the lower temperature? That is because of the evaporative cooling. Why we are putting the bat straw in the balconies? Again, the process is evaporative cooling. Okay, so this is what these are the examples we Indians are using from ancient time to cool our surrounding or to maintain a lower temperature. So this is what the natural way we are doing. We are not providing any mechanical means to it. Okay, so as the name indicates, evaporative cooling is the process of reducing temperature of a system by evaporation of water. The water permeates through the pores of the earthen vessel, or I can say matka vessel, to its outer surface. Okay, from the pores it is coming out, where it evaporates to the surrounding, absorbing its latent heat. Obviously, when the water is getting evaporated, so obviously the latent heat, this much of amount of heat will be supplied to the system, and when the latent heat is transferred, so obviously the vessel water will get cooler and cooler. So this is what the method of evaporative cooling. Evaporative cooling by placing bat straw, okay, chicks we generally put on our balconies, mats on the windows in open areas. This is also a very common method of producing cold. In desert cooler also, that was the forced evaporative cooling. There also the method is same. Cooling by salt solution. This is also, we are not using any pump, we are not using any compressor, but there are certain solutions, certain salts which are available through which we can maintain a temperature of how much? A very low temperature of around -20 degrees centigrade, and this is the salt solution. The sodium chloride, the common salt which is used, we can see, we can observe our kulfi wala, they are putting their kulfis or their matka in what? In the box where it is full of common salt. So what is the purpose? The production of cold with the help of salt solution. So this is what so certain substances such as common salt, when added to water, dissolve in water and absorbs its heat of solution from water, and this is what the endothermic reaction, endothermic process. And whenever an endothermic process occurs, obviously the absorption of heat will occur, and because of this absorption of heat, the certain amount of cooling will be produced. So this reduces the temperature of the solution, water and salt, with the help of sodium chloride, and which can yield the temperature up to -20. Similarly, calcium chloride can also be used for producing the temperature around -50 degrees centigrade if used with certain procedures. So all these methods are natural methods. Now comes to some artificial means or mechanical means through which we can produce cold, which we generally call refrigeration. Okay, so refrigeration, as it is known these days, are produced with the means of artificial means, and very first person who has introduced this particular process is Scottish professor William Cullen. Okay, so he was the first one who talked about this. So now I am coming to the point of artificial refrigeration, how with the help of some mechanical systems we can produce lower temperature. So the first one is vapor compression refrigeration system, commonly known as VCRS, vapor compression refrigeration system. That this system will be discussed in detail in my coming videos, but here I am only introducing the this is the Bunn method, which is very common in many refrigerators and air conditioning system. What basically it is? So the first line which is written over, it is the improved version of air refrigeration cycle. Okay, so air refrigeration cycle, why I am comparing it with air refrigeration cycle? So when we talk about Carnot engine, okay, in Carnot engine what we take air as a substance, and with the help of two isothermal and two isentropic process we can produce certain amount of work output. So this is what a heat engine is. So Carnot engine is a benchmark engine which produces maximum efficiency. Okay, so if I reverse the cycle, a heat engine is what? A heat engine is that device in which a heat is delivered from high temperature body to low temperature body, and in between it performs some useful work. This is what a heat engine is. But when I talk about a refrigerator, so from refrigerator the heat is extracted from lower temperature body and delivered to high temperature body, but it is not a spontaneous process, so some work input is there. It means the refrigerator or a heat pump is reverse of Carnot engine. So if I am reversing a Carnot engine, then obviously we must get some cooling system, some refrigeration system which is most effective, and that is considered as air refrigeration. Okay, that is considered as air refrigeration system. So that will be discussed later on. So that's why air refrigeration comes here in picture. But air refrigeration system is having certain limitations, and these limitations are overcome in vapor compression cycle. Now what happens to this? The refrigerant used in vapor compression system doesn't leave the system but is circulated throughout the system alternately, condensing and evaporating. In evaporating, the refrigerant absorbs its latent heat from the solution, which is used for circulating it around the cold chamber, and in condensing it gives out its latent heat to the circulating water of the cooler. So what basically, in brief, I will be explaining here. In evaporator, when liquid refrigerant enters, it absorbs heat. It absorbs heat, which refrigerant absorbs heat, and this heat is extracted from where? This heat is extracted from the bodies or from the surrounding, which has to be cooled. So when the heat is extracted, obviously that surrounding or substances will be cooler, will be colder, and by absorbing that much of heat, that liquid refrigerant becomes vapor, evaporated. So this is what happening in evaporation. Then this evaporated or vapor refrigerant goes to compressor, where it is maintained at high pressure and temperature and circulated to condenser. In condenser, this vapor refrigerant, which is at high pressure and temperature, it rejects its heat. So when the heat is rejected from there, it liquefied. Then it passes to the expansion valve, and again it is coming to the evaporator in liquid form. So this refrigerant, that's why it is written over here, in vapor compression. So vapor is compressed and cooled in condenser. That's why it is named as vapor compression. So in this process, the refrigerant is not leaving the refrigerating cycle. It is evaporated and condensed, and in evaporation and condenser, the latent heat is pumped, because again and again the phase transformation is taking place. Okay, the vapor compression cycle, which is used in the vapor compression refrigeration system, is nowadays all purpose refrigeration. So it is having a wide application, this vapor compression. Most common one, definitely I will be discussing this in much detail because it is the important one, but here only I introduced how this takes place. The second one is vapor absorption system. What is how it is different from? In vapor compression refrigeration system, the compressor is used for what purpose? The compressor is used for the purpose of raising the pressure of vapor refrigerant. If it can be done with the help of what? Absorber generator and a pump also. If it can be done. So in this, a compressor is replaced by three things: a absorber, generator and a pump. By doing this, the liquid refrigerant is getting converted into vapor, and then the pressure of that vapor is increased, and in generator this is again liquefied. So this process is created here. So this is what known as absorption. This is based on absorption. So vapor absorption refrigeration is the heat operated system. For running the compressor, we need electrical energy. But here I am replacing what? I am replacing that compressor with the absorber, generator and pump, and this pump is having very low power requirement. Okay, so obviously the high power requirement, high electricity which is supplied to the compressor, that is that is eliminated, because in rural areas where the electricity is a problem, or for a larger system where very large size of compressor is used, in that condition we need a system which can be a heat operated system. So a vapor absorption refrigeration system is heat operated system. It is quite similar to vapor compression. Yes, the process is same, evaporation is taking place, condensation is taking place, the circulation of refrigerant is there, so the system is same, but the compressor is replaced by absorber, generator and pump, and this pump is requiring very small power to run as compared to compressor. That's why we are saying it is a heat operated system. A solution which is known as absorbent, which is the part of absorber, a solution which is known as absorbent, which has an high affinity for the refrigerant used. So generally we use water, because water and ammonia, the ammonia which is generally used with vapor absorption system having high affinity, it means it attracts each other. So a solution of ammonia can be formed. So a solution which is known as absorbent, which has an high affinity for the refrigerant used, is circulated between the absorber and the generator, and with the help of pump. The absorbent in the absorber draws the refrigerant vapor formed in the evaporator, thus maintaining a low pressure in the evaporator to enable the refrigerant to evaporate at low temperature. Okay, that I will be discussing this system also in detail in my coming video. Then the solar energy. To run the vapor absorption system, what we need? We need absorber, generator and pump. If we can use solar energy with concentrating and flat plate solar collectors, if this can be done with the use of solar energy, then we can say this type of refrigeration system is known as solar energy based refrigeration system. Refrigerant vapor is driven by absorbent when nocturnal cooling cools the collector. At the night time, refrigerant evaporates, giving refrigeration, and is absorbed in charcoal geolite. This system used a parabolic mirror for collecting the solar energy. This system used a parabolic mirror 10 meter square of area for concentrating the solar radiation. So here the energy which is used for circulating the refrigerant, that is the solar energy. Gas cycle refrigeration. Okay, what is very simple one. If a high pressure air expands and does work to move piston or turbine. Okay, if I am containing a high pressure air in a compressor, when it expands or moves the piston or rotates the turbine, so because of its expansion, obviously the temperature will go down. If this concept can be used for cooling purpose, for lowering the temperature, then we can call this particular system as a gas cycle refrigeration system. So this is what written over here, ki if air at high pressure expands and does some work to move the piston or turbine, then temperature will decrease. Just as the vapors are used for cooling in vapor compression or in vapor absorption system, the gas is used here. That's why it is named as gas cycle refrigeration. Okay, when the gas is throttled from very high pressure to low pressure, and in the throttling valve, its temperature reduces suddenly. So that's what I already told. When high pressure air expands suddenly, it produces cooling, it lowers the temperature, and in place of vapor a gas is generally used. That's why it is named as gas refrigeration system. In this system, instead of using freon or ammonia, which are generally the refrigerant for vapor compression and vapor refrigeration system, a gas is used as the refrigerant, and throughout the cycle there are no phase change of the gas. In vapor compression, the phase change, evaporation and condensation is occurring alternatively, but in case of gas refrigeration system, gas cycle refrigeration, no phase change occurs. So this is what the gas cycle refrigeration. In short, I can say when a gas expands from high pressure to low pressure, its temperature lowers, and in this a lower temperature is maintained and gas is used in place of vapor, and in that case no phase transformation occurs. Steam jet refrigeration system. Okay, this is also somewhat connected to the boiling point. What basically the boiling point is, what we understand, when the vapor pressure of boiling water equals to the pressure of surrounding, then water starts boiling. So if I am changing the surrounding pressure, then boiling point can be changed. If I am increasing the surrounding pressure, then obviously boiling point will be high. If I am reducing the surrounding pressure, then boiling point will be low. So if the pressure in the premises, in the space is very low, then it is very easy to boil the water, then it is very easy to create the steam, and this steam when will be created, then obviously for creating or generating the steam we need some heat to be supplied, and when this heat to be supplied, so obviously the surrounding which is supplying that heat, that will be losing the heat and it will be maintained at low temperature. So this is the base of this. So cooling by flashing of water, by spraying into a chamber of low pressure, a part of sprayed water, that's what I already told. When I am maintaining a jet of low pressure water jet, and the part of sprayed water evaporates at low pressure because the pressure is very low and cools the remaining environment, remaining water. This system uses the principle of boiling the water below 100 degrees centigrade. The pressure on the surface of the water is reduced below the atmospheric pressure. Water can be made to boil at low temperature. Already discussed. Okay, water boils at 6 degrees centigrade when the pressure on the surface is 5 centimeter of Hg. So, and at 10 degree when the pressure is 6.5 centimeters. So that already I discussed. Okay, whenever I am changing the surrounding pressure, the boiling point can be changed, and this can be utilized for production of low temperature. Thermoelectric refrigeration. So this is what the Peltier effect we studied in electrical engineering or in our electrical topics. The thermoelectric cooling uses the Peltier effect to create a heat flux between the junctions of two different types of metal. So if there are two metals, different metals of junction, or if I am putting a battery in between them, then we can get one as a cold temp junction and one as a hot junction. So this effect can be utilized for purpose of production of cold. So this is what the basically thermoelectric refrigeration system. So thermoelectric cooling uses the Peltier effect to create a heat flux between the junctions of two different types of material. This effect is commonly used in camping and portable coolers and for cooling electronic components. Applying a DC voltage difference across the thermoelectric module, an electric current will pass through the module and heat will be absorbed from one side and released at the opposite side. So cold and hot, this is what the thermoelectric refrigeration system. Another way of production of cold is magnetic refrigeration, by magnetizing and demagnetizing. By magnetizing and demagnetizing. In magnetization, we are providing certain energy, and when we are demagnetizing the substance, then the energy will be released, and when the energy will be released, so obviously that component or that substance will get lower temperature. So this is what the magnetic type of refrigeration system. Although all these type of refrigeration system are not very common because their commercial purpose are not fulfilled, but these are the concepts through which we can produce certain temperature, certain lower temperature. The last one is the vortex tube type of system. This is again related to the pressure. Okay, so it is one of the non-conventional type of refrigeration system for the production of refrigeration, where the vortex tube is what? It's a device that separates a high pressure flow entering tangentially into two low pressure flows, thereby producing a temperature change. So whenever a pressure is changing, along with that pressure in vortex tube, the temperature is also getting lower and lower. So this is the another way of production of cold, vortex tube. So here in this particular video, I tried to discuss the term refrigeration, what is the unit of refrigeration, and how by naturally or artificially we can produce the lower temperature. So I hope the video is convincing and knowledge sharing with you, and very thanks to all of you to watching the video. Thank you very much. Thank you.